Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, our guest is Verne Cogliano. Herb leads his own advisory practice leveraging the Scaling Up Performance platform, described in Verne Harnish's award-winning book, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits-Scaling Up. As a business coach, experienced CEO Scaling Up Practitioner, and professor of the Scaling Up Master's Business course, he has learned firsthand what it takes to overcome many business challenges. Herb is pursuing his passion of working with leaders of growth companies to achieve more freedom by helping them create industry-leading strategies, a culture of accountability, flawless execution, along with a healthy cash flow within their organizations. Herb was formerly CEO of Sullivan and Cogliano Designers, a 53-year privately held family-owned technology staffing and workforce solutions firm who joined a select group of companies that have appeared on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing company list multiple times. His firm was a multi-year recipient of the Boston and South Florida Business Journal Best Places to Work Award. This honor recognizes Sullivan and Cogliano achievements for changing the business landscape in creating a positive work environment that attracts and retains employees through a combination of employee satisfaction, working conditions, and company culture. So without further delay, sit back, plug your earphones in, and let's jump right into this conversation with Herb. Welcome, Herb.
Good morning, Yannick. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to hopefully sharing some great discussions with your listeners here at Navigating the Customer Experience.
Perfect. All right, so I know we read quite a bit about your journey in our bio, the short bio that I just read. But we always like to give the guests an opportunity to share in their own words a little bit about your journey in your words, how you got to where you are today.
Yannick, I was very fortunate to be raised in a family business where my mother and father incorporated not only raising a family on good values, but incorporated what were the challenges in running and growing a business. And as I grew up and then ultimately went into the business, our business had years of success, and then the industry became more competitive, more commoditized, and our growth started to stagnate. As a result of that, we wanted to grow further. We worked hard, we were smart people, but we got stuck. And we came across the book called Scaling Up by Verne Harnish. And it's really a playbook for small mid-market companies that don't have a team of MBAs working on their staff, but still need to navigate a very fast-changing marketplace. And that book really changed my life about knowing how to grow a company by asking the right questions and working with the right tools to do it. As a result of that, we scaled, got the accomplishments that you so nicely commented on. And then as a result of that, we exited our companies in 2018. I had an incredible business coach that was so helpful. Him and my father were incredible mentors. And then I knew that I was meant to be a coach and help others using the scaling up methodology to achieve their company's vision and potential.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that with our listeners. Now, scaling up. Can you tell our listeners what scaling up is? Maybe 3 or 4 critical things that if as a business you want to scale up, you need to have in place.
One of the challenges in growing your business is that you don't know what you don't know. So if you're a $2 million company, you don't know what it's like to be a $10 million company. And things change because you're hiring more people, you're onboarding more customers, you're offering more in different products. You may have different or multiple locations, and the complexity compounds and then makes it very hard for the original owner to command and make decisions as your workforce grows from 2 to 20 to 2,000 people. And for many of us, we plateau because we don't know how to handle the next level complexity. Scaling up was a framework that helped us navigate it, and it's based upon 4 primary decisions that you need to get right around people, strategy, execution, and cash. And when you understand how to use those techniques in the 4 areas, it will then help you navigate the next stage of your growth. And that's ultimately what we did.
All right. So, a big part of scaling up has to do with people and culture, and customer experience starts from within. What has been your experience in scaling a business? Let's say you were an organization with, let's say, 10 employees, and you've, in the course of 12 months, you've now grown to an organization with 100 employees. How do you keep that culture that is still customer focused, customer obsessed, even though you have so many more persons that you're managing? What has your experience been in scaling from that perspective?
Yeah, thank you. That's a wonderful question. The first part of my experience was, were we hiring the right type of people that shared our similar values and purpose? And in the beginning, we were just looking at resumes. You have experience, you've done customer support or business development, you're a good fit, you're hired. But what we learned was we needed to hire people that not only had skill and experience, but shared our similar values and our purpose, because we work together in the way we behave around those values is what allows us to work well together, and that translates into the customer experience. The second part of that I learned is that we cannot be all things to all customers. And we were trying to be that in the beginning, and that hurt our customer experience. So we finally profiled who was our ideal customer. They were easy to work with. They had high referability to others like them. They were profitable. They had to be economically good for the company. And they valued us, paid our bills on time. And then we ultimately asked them, what is it about our company? Why do you value us? And importantly, how are we distinctive from the competition? We call those our brand promises, and we hire and train people to deliver exceptional brand promise results. Because if we get the client's brand promise right and we can deliver it, we have very high client expectation scores.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Now,
You're welcome.
you've worked with quite a few businesses, Herb, and you have a wealth of experience. In terms of customer experience, you as a customer, because I'm sure you do business with many different organizations as a customer yourself, what are 3 things that you look for to ensure that you're being satisfied as a customer, that your needs are being met?
I think the first important thing is, are they listening to me? Do they understand really what my requirements or wants and needs are? Secondly, are they responsive to me? If I feel like I need help or an answer, are they responsive and are they available as I'm needed? And then the third thing is, I understand all companies can make mistakes. To me, the mark of a great customer experience is not what they do when things are good. It's how well they react to a mistake or when things don't go good. And those are three things for me that have always been top of mind my entire career.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Herb, could you also share with us what's the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely can't live without in your business?
Oh boy, with AI right now, Yanni, there's so many. So I'd like to say Chat GPT, but there's so many happening every day. But I think recently in the last 6 months, I've really been leaning into Chat GPT and trying to create prompts in Chat GPT that will make our customer insights and experiences that much better.
All right. Okay. And could you also share with our listeners if you've read any books recently? Actually, it could be a book that you read a very long time ago, but a book that has had, or books that have had, a great impact on you. Do you have any of those?
Well, Scaling Up, the book, was given to me early 2003. I think I've read it close to 30 times now. And as recently as this weekend, when I was traveling home on a plane, I was making notes to the author and sent him a note over the weekend about an insight or something that I think we can do even better as part of the Scaling Up network. I am with a group of other like-minded coaches that use the methodology to help entrepreneurs and their senior teams grow. And we are constantly improving the IP that goes into the Scaling Up book. So I've read a lot of books, but Scaling Up is one of the only books I ever wanted to reread and master.
All right. Perfect. Well, we'll definitely have the link to Scaling Up in the show notes of this episode for any of our listeners that would like to tap into that awesome resource. Now, you mentioned earlier in our conversation, as it related to scaling up, that you want to have persons that you hire that are in alignment with your values, your value system, your vision, and your mission. And so, could you share with us in terms of the recruitment process from a HR perspective? What are some key, would it be a question that you need to ask them that would align you in that phase, or is it something you're looking for maybe in terms of giving them a scenario and then you're looking for them to give you a particular response to ensure that the person you are selecting, it's not just based, as you said, on their resume, their experience, their academia, but more so what values they're bringing to the table, like what are they going to do if they're faced with a particular scenario, and is that going to be in alignment with the core value of the organization?
Yeah, thank you. So we begin in the recruitment phase. So imagine that you need to hire an individual. My four core values for my coaching practice are wisdom, humility, integrity, and grit. So if I was going to look for someone to join my coaching practice, my job recruitment ads would have messaging around, do you value wisdom, learning, and sharing? Do you have the humility to let others shine? Do you have the integrity to always do the right thing? And do you have the grit to deal with adversity and be resilient? If that sounds like you, we'd like to talk. The second part of that goes into the interview when we actually are asking you questions all around, do you have those core values? Can you tell me about a time where somebody challenged your integrity and how did you deal with it? What would you do different now? What were the lessons learned? The third part of it is in the onboarding. So every new hire orientation should have members or owners, members of leadership or owners coming in talking to the new employees about the values, the purpose, and the mission of the organization. So they're kind of inoculated in the beginning that these things are important and top of mind as you work in the company. We then do newsletters that are also echoing this messaging. It's part of our performance review, where part of your evaluation is how well you're living and aligning to the values. We do recognition programs throughout the year where you're recognized for living certain values and purpose. And then our leadership is trained that when they're working with you day in and day out, to reference recognition and constructive feedback in relation to the core value and purpose embodiment.
All right, those are pretty good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And I like how you gave the examples and the question that you asked as it relates to in the recruitment process, even in the advertising and marketing to ensure that you're attracting the right people. So thank you so much for sharing those strategies and how to achieve that.
Can I share one other point? This is so powerful for me. You talked about going from 10 people to like a couple of hundred people. When we first were looking at our workforce in one of our small groups, we had about 25 employees. And somebody had me do an A-player assessment. What that simply means is out of 25 people, how many of them did we rate as A players? People that embodied our values and people that were hitting the productivity requirements for their job. I have to tell you, my first score was only a 38% out of 100.
Wow.
Now, can you imagine early on in my scaling up journey, the drama a company would have with only 38% being A players?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what the customer experience would have been
That would have been a
dealing with
problem.
that team? Here was the eye opener for me. What if I scaled to 200 employees, but didn't change the 38% A player result? Imagine scaling drama. 25 people at 38% A player, now 200 people at only 38% A player. It would be awful.
Yep, that would definitely shoot your customer experience into the garbage.
Yeah. So one of the big epiphanies that I had, and what I love to do with my clients, is we need to get your people right as a foundational part before you just scale. Let's be smart, because when you scale with a higher A player rating, your drama is so much lower, your clients are so much happier, your employee retention is so much higher, and your employee tenure is so much longer. It was the most incredible epiphany we ever had, and I will never grow a company another way.
All right. Thank you for sharing that, Herb. Now,
You're
Herb,
welcome.
could you also share with us what's the one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Either something you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
I'm really leaning into AI. I'm looking at all the tools and techniques in our practice, and we're trying to really make it easier for our clients to use the tools, leveraging AI elements within it. The second part, Unique, is I just came back. My son, who's 30 years old, completed his first Ironman triathlon last weekend, a 140-mile race.
Wow.
And I've just committed to my son that he is going to train me to complete my first Ironman. So you asked what's going on in my head right now. That's what's going on in my head.
Perfect, perfect. Well, I wish you all the best with that challenge that you're taking on.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Now, can you tell our listeners, Herb, if they would like to connect with you after they've listened to this amazing episode, where can they find you online?
Yeah. Very simply, go to my website, aspiregrowthadvisors.com.
Okay. All right. So we'll have the link to Herb's website in the show notes of this episode. Now, before we wrap our episodes up, Herb, we always like to ask our guests, do you have a quote or a saying that during times of adversity or challenge, you'll tend to revert to this quote? If for any reason you felt derailed or, run down, this quote kind of just helps to get you back on track.
I've found many business owners that when they get frustrated and burnt out, think about it. A lot of entrepreneurs start their company and it's a love story. They've always wanted to be their own boss. They have a certain gift or skill and they want to bring that to the world and make a difference. But next thing you know, tough employees happen, bad clients happen, payroll, money frustration happens, and what turned into a dream becomes a nightmare for the owner. And they feel like the business is running them. My quote to you is, you deserve a business where you're running the business is not running you. And what I've learned in my journey with scaling up is that you can have that dream. It's not easy, but we can make it easier for you to build a business, to make more money, to give you more freedom and less drama. And that is the wish that I have for all of your listeners, that they find that for them and their company.
All right. Brilliant quote. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing, Herb. Well, Herb, we just want to extend our deepest level of gratitude and appreciation to you for taking time out of your very busy schedule and hopping on this podcast with us today and sharing all of these great insights and learnings that you have experienced in your journey as it relates to scaling up your business, ensuring that you have the right people doing the right thing, aligned, in the right values, so that you can achieve the highest level of customer satisfaction and even life satisfaction to ensure that you're doing something that's fulfilling to your soul. So thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it.
And as a gift for all your listeners, if they go to the website, we have a Scaling Up Business Readiness Assessment. If you want to know where your company is today for their readiness to scale up, that complimentary assessment will give you some insights. And if you're looking to know where you are as a high impact leader, we have a high impact leader assessment that will give you a kind of current state of where you are, and then some insights of where you could potentially go. And just thank you very much for having me today.
You're most welcome. Just want to remind our listeners that you can follow us on Facebook, join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community, and feel free to follow us on Twitter, or X, I should be saying, right? But please feel free to follow us on X. Until next time, I'm your host, Yenny Grant. We also have a new book available on Amazon, The ABCs of a Fantastic Customer Experience. It's available in ebook and paperback. So if you want to increase revenue in your organization, build a stronger service culture, and create employees or develop employees who are really mastering service delivery in your business, you need to grab a copy of this book. Until next time, I'm your host, Yenny Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.